You're listening to the Our Erie podcast with DaVona Pacley,
Marty Nwachukwu,
and Lydia Laythe.
We're here to highlight community voices and bring new perspectives to the table.
We are unpacking Erie's and America's baggage.
We're speaking truth to power.
Take a seat.
Hello, and welcome back to another week of Our Erie, the series podcast. You're joined today with Marty, myself, DaVona Pacley, and Lydia, along with a special guest today. Yeah. A few weeks ago, we talked a little bit about the hate that has been going on across the country and the attacks that have been directed at people of Asian descent, and the violence has increased tenfold since the beginning of COVID. And when we talked about it, we talked about how, we don't stand with any kind of violence against any group of people, but we wanted to give more space to hear about how it's impacting people and learn more from a person from the community. So today we have with us Amanpreet, and I want to allow you to introduce yourself, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanpreet Oberio. I'm the president of Erie Asian American Association. So I joined this position as a president. I joined last year only. However, I've been with this organization for the past couple of years. I joined as a volunteer. I've been an India rep also. But currently, I am the president at Erie Asian American Association. And I hope everyone is familiar with this organization. The mission of our organization is to share such a rich Asian Pacific cultures that in Erie, we have around 16 countries that contribute to this community. So to share that rich culture with our Erie community. And we do this via different events. We hold educational events and we do cultural events. So for educational events, we go to schools and we go to different organizations. We collaborate with them. And for cultural events, our flagship events are Festival of Asia. We have Taste of Asia, which is a food festival. We celebrate food from different countries. And then some of other events would be like we go to the Children's Museum and we do Multicultural Asia Day, which is very, very popular again. All of our events are so popular here in Erie. I mean, ever since COVID started, my phone hasn't stopped ringing. Can you tell us when are you holding your next event? But of course, we want to make it safe for everyone, for our volunteers, for the audience, for the public in general, for our community. And as and when it is safe, we'll definitely be going forward with it.
That's so cool. I've actually been to one festival. I don't remember which one it was, but it was at the Rainbow Gardens at Waldameer.
Festival of Asia.
Yeah, that was so cool. And it was so great to see. I work with refugees and immigrants at the International Institute. And so it was great to see some folks that I was familiar with and then to learn a little bit more. So that was really neat.
Right.
And have you been in, so you said you were a volunteer before. How long have you been involved in this and how long have you been in Erie?
So we moved in Erie in 2014, I want to say. Yeah. So pretty early on, I loved what these people were doing and I loved the idea of this cultural amalgamation. This is something I was totally attracted to. And then I have two girls who would always volunteer for these, who would always participate with these at Children's Museum or other things. So that also as a mom, I had to take them. So I ended up volunteering anyways. Yeah. So that's what got me started. And then I developed more and more interest and just, I felt like this is my thing. I want to do this.
Yeah, that's super cool. When I was looking at your website, and it looks like most of the leadership of this group is women. Is that correct?
That's very true. as much as we would like to have more men, we do have men, like current executive committee, definitely there are all women. There have been men in the past, like Professor Salvador Parco. He was one of our officers in the past. He has been. And we do have men as board members, Walter Ang being one of them, Mr. Uma Shankar being one of them. We have a couple of men, just that they're not in the officer positions as of now. I'm sure it'll change along the way. Sure. We love diversity, be it gender diversity or cultural. We love diversity.
Yeah, it was just cool. It was cool to see a lot of strong women leading a powerful organization. It was really
definitely. And I love all the ideas that all of us bring together and how they fruit in the form of any event. It's wonderful to see the entire collaboration. Yeah.
You said in Erie, and I had no idea that there's about 16, is it nationalities or ethnic groups?
Yes.
Here?
Yes, indeed. So for Erie APA, not everyone can participate. Like mostly we end up getting like any number between 6 to 10 countries, that would like to participate. And yes, there are some like, it also depends upon how many people from that country are here in Erie, right? Like, and then how busy they are and how many of them are doing 2-3 jobs. Then you can't expect that person, as much as they would love to. And I literally have gone to their homes and, and they have contributed, if not like very much, but they would love to. But it's just how many of them are here, right? So from Indian community, I know there are tons. So many people are there and they are always eager to volunteer. From China, they have their own Chinese association as well. So we always get a good number of Chinese people too. We have Bhutanese people too. They have their own organization as well. Pakistan, we get a lot of people from them. Bangladesh, a very small community. They don't have too many families, but we always have their representation. In fact, our previous president, Mrs. Sharmin, she was from Bangladesh. And then, like I said, it depends upon what a person is going through and what brought them to Erie also. If somebody is in a refugee state, right, they are just trying to establish themselves first, right? You probably know because you work with all of them, and I sometimes work with them. So it's what priority they have in life at that stage. For sure, that determines how much they can contribute to these causes. Yeah, but it's always a beautiful thing. And I have to say, it's not just the Asian communities, but other communities receive us pretty well. Like I have seen all our events are attended by Greek community or, the Polish community. Like I have always seen they have come in big numbers. Our sponsors have been, Erie Insurance has been one of our big sponsors. The hospitals in the area sponsor us. St. Vincent has been one of our big sponsors. And VAPTEC, which was initially GE, they have always been. And so members from those organizations also become our board members and our volunteers. That's how we are able to do what we do.
That's super cool.
I know.
So I guess to go back to how Marty introduced this conversation, we initially started this conversation a few weeks ago about, Asian and Asian American hate crimes and the violence against folks from your community and from the communities that you're connected to through APAA. So I guess I'm just wondering, kind of what has your experience been? How, what's your reaction to the situation, both as a country, but then also locally, and how we're seeing it affect our Erie community?
Yeah. So it is very, very unfortunate, the kind of events that have unfolded in the past few days. Hatred against Asians is nothing new. Yes, we all know that. Having said that, it did not penetrate Erie as much, I would say. Erie has a very, very supportive community. Very, very supportive indeed. And mostly people feel welcomed. And I do not want to undermine anybody who does not, whose experience has been any different than mine. I do not want to undermine that. But so, like I said, Asian hate is nothing new. You go back to history books and you will see that. Asian women definitely have been targeted way more of these misogynistic views and opinions, and they have always been the target. COVID, with the COVID in, we saw such a surge in these attacks, be it verbal attacks, be it physical attacks. There was just a big surge because of the rhetoric that was going around at the national level. If continuously the media headlines are going to portray that, this virus originated, and viruses do not discriminate your through your skin color, through your anything, through your gender, they don't have any biases. It could have been anywhere. It's a pandemic, for God's sake. So yes, now with the change in the government, we see, there are steps being taken, there are more vaccinations and everything. So definitely the rhetoric contributed, it acted as a catalyst to increase in the number of attacks. There is no denying that fact. In Erie, because it didn't, Asian community as it is not very keen on sharing their negative experiences. It is just culturally so. We do not speak out. One, because definitely they feel there is a mistrust. They feel they cannot share it, because if they share it, then what if they are attacked even more? One. And what if they report it and the person doesn't perceive it that well? The way there's definitely a level of mistrust. Then secondly, they do not want to, when this happened, believe it or not, I reached out to my community and I kept on asking them. Mostly everyone told me, no, we have never faced this. That was the general view. However, there were incidences which I didn't know had happened in the past. They never cared to report it to me or to tell me. But that time when these incidents happened, then they did tell me. There was a very incident that happened with an Uber driver. He was called, and then the Uber driver just said, because he was from China, and he just said, oh, maybe he was under the effect of alcohol, he was drunk, so maybe he just chose to abuse me, verbally. That could be the reason. I say that is not the reason. No. Being under the influence does not give you the pass. Mental health issues do not give you the pass to be racist. These are not the excuses to be racist. I truly believe that. That person wants to be anonymous, and I respect that. Then there were a few other transgressions that I came to know of, but none of them wanted to come forward. They said, you can mention these incidents, but please do not name us. And I have to respect that. If they don't want to be named, I will totally respect that. But I do want this discussion to be brought to the table. So once this happened, we talked to the administration, we wrote to the administration, our allies, Erie APA's allies reached out to us, and we established a dialogue with the administration, with the current administration, and with the police chief and everything. Businesses were feeling insecure in Erie as well. Even though we did not see any physical attacks here, but what I want to say is whatever happens nationally does carry the ripple effect. Erie is not immune to what happens nationally. Whatever happened there's a very high possibility of a copycat attack anywhere. It's not that it cannot happen. So ripples do carry. So I could sense that tension in the community, especially in the business community. So I felt a dialogue needs to be initiated. So we reached out to NEC, the council from the mayor has this council, New American Council, NEC. So we reached out with them, we partnered with them, and then we talked to what steps we can take to reassure our community or to calm down other folks as well, because I could sense that anxiety. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it just a few different things. I mean, thank you so much for sharing all of that, because it's huge, and it's uncomfortable to share when we've been treated differently for something we have no control over. Like no one wants to be in that space. But we've talked about it before on this podcast related to the intersectionality of gender and race relating to like Black women. That's been something that's come to the forefront of our conversations multiple times. But I think you bring up a really great point of the intersectionality of race and gender for Asian American women and Asian women, that this is something that they're facing. And then just one other thing that I was thinking about too is you said historically, and there is like so many very, very real examples of Asian hate and anti-Asian rhetoric in our history, whether it's the Chinese Exclusion Act that like banned immigrants from China to come to the United States, or the Japanese American internment during World War II that like I personally did not learn about until I was in college. It took me going to college to learn about that. And yet I could learn about the founding fathers of the United States every year through grade school and high school. I mean, it is so confounding to me that we don't have more concrete conversations about this, because you talk about the ripple effect of like national to local, but I also see the ripple effect of like our past through now. When we don't talk about it, when we don't learn about it, we think, oh, there's no issues for this community, right? And we talk about like that model minority stereotypes, and they're like, oh, okay, like this is fine. It's really just, this is where the issue is. Like, no, there's still very real consequences for these things that we're not addressing.
True. And you have very rightly pointed out that, see, in your case, you couldn't even learn till you reached the college, right? And many of us, like, we don't even get a chance. Even when they reach college, they are not made aware of this. It's just not a part of the curriculum. Whereas I personally feel it should be a part of, right from elementary school, you should be taught these things. It is so hard to hurt a friend, right? You wouldn't hurt a friend no matter what that friend's skin color is, no matter how different that friend looks from you, whether that friend has a disability or anything, you would not do that to a friend. So if we introduce this in the curriculum and kids grow up learning, I totally believe racism is a learned behavior. If it is in kids, it's definitely a learned behavior. That's my thinking. And yes, people can differ in their thinking, but I personally feel it's a learned behavior and it can be changed. And the earlier we change, the better it is for the whole society. To have a rational society, I feel there is no place for this kind of thinking, for sure. There is no place in this rational society. Yeah.
I think because my experience, maybe in high school I learned about the internment camps, and I think maybe in elementary school I learned about the immigration of Chinese Americans in the West, but it was still just very limited. But I think that leads to, if you grow up in certain communities, like I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I'm Nigerian American, so my bubble was my school and my Nigerian family. If you're not surrounded by certain communities, it creates a sense of invisibility. So whenever you see someone who looks different than you, it creates a level of otherness. And I think from what I hear sometimes, that a lot of even Americans, that's wrong of me to say, a lot of non-Asian people treat Asian people like others. Like we assume every Asian person we come across is a new American. And we have all these different racist tropes and things that impact the way we converse with each other. So I think, like you said, starting at an early age and introducing the histories. Asian American history is American history that we should all have a shared understanding of. It would impact how we act in the world.
Yeah, the narrative that it is not a white America, it's not a Black America. We have a spectrum of color. We have a spectrum. That narrative needs to change, that it should be all inclusive. Once kids understand that, yes, that person sitting next to me is American, just like I am. Because my daughter gets asked this question. She's born here, but she is always, where are you from? I take pride in when people ask me, I take pride in that. But being an American, she feels like, why are they, questioning my identity here? Like, where am I from? I'm from America, United States of America. This is my home. This is my country. Like, she takes pride in her country. Of course, I narrate my journey, how I was born there, how I immigrated here, and took what it took from me, and what I'm able to contribute, and how it has enriched my life. This experience of migrating to a new country, how it has enriched my life. However, the next generation, it's very hard for them. When their friends, they go to a new group and they, oh, where are you from? Yes, from Erie, Pennsylvania. No, but where are you from? Yes, from America. What are you pointing at? If you want, my parents, yes, they originally from India, but yes, now they are also American citizens. But you don't need to. I'm not asking where are your parents from. You don't need to ask me. I may look different. I may have, different eyes, different hair, different anything. But that's the picture of America. That needs to change in people's mind. Till we can do that, and that is only going to come if we start early. If kids start saying, yes, this is me, this is America, I am America, like that's how it's going to be. Otherwise, we're going to have this very, very polar opposite, views. For sure, we're going to have a very, very divided America, and we don't want that. I mean, the whole world laughs at us when we, portray like things like what happened on January 6th. I don't even want to go there. But yeah, this discussion is not about that. But yeah, so we do not want to have a polarized America at all. We want a unified America, for sure. And we do not exist in a perfect world. No society is perfect. No community is perfect. And yes, these transgressions will exist no matter how much education we do, no matter how much things we do. Yes, these will happen still, but we can minimize them. Even if we are able to change one person's thinking. So I say one at a time, just take baby steps. And right now, this thing has not reached Erie. That was our administration's view when we reached out to them. And yes, I totally agree. I mean, it has not, but we need to be proactive so that it does not. It does not. And how can we do it? We need to have a policy in place from the administration. We need to reassure our communities that they are confident. If something were to happen, they are confident in reporting. And yeah, so that trust level has to be mended, I feel. Definitely.
I like when you speak on policy, because just this past week, I was introduced to the term intentional intersectionality. And in the importance of, and that was from Farouk from One Hood. And I learned that at Arts and Agency, the presentation, which also, Amanpreet was also an introducer for another presenter. But I learned about the term, and I didn't ever think about it because, I've tried to be like an intentional person, right, when it comes to certain things. But when it comes to intersectionality, I didn't even think putting that into practice, into our policies. And when I think of, us talking about Stop Asian Hate right now, I think of, again, another issue of racism not being brought to the table when it comes to moving us forward and not having these issues. And I'm at this point where I'm really like you said, implementing policy where we really need to talk about in our systems, the structural racism that is happening within America, and not just in America, throughout our whole entire world. So I think that like listening, to this, it makes me just think of, the specific ways that we are implementing that, and that is creating organizations and being a part of organizations. And I did not know about Erie American Pacific, the Erie Asian Pacific American Council until I reached out to you, and I was like, oh my God, like I did not know that, and so I was ignorant, and I think that having these platforms and being able to tell people like these organizations are here, utilize them, and I think that's to me, and let's find ways where we can all work together and have the intersectionality between, arts and humanity and all these types of organizations. And I really, I think this week I'm very inspired to see that arts can go along with social justice. And so I really, want to ask you, what are some ways that the organization implements different types of activities in the community? Because I'm really interested. I don't know. And I would really want to be knowledgeable on this so I can start to join.
So yeah, definitely, DaVona, I don't know. I can't explain. You can ask Lydia probably because she did it. And that you have really missed on something big.
I did.
No, that's just a proud mama here. That's yeah. No, yeah. So like these cultural events that we hold, right, where the entire community comes together. It is so beautiful to see not just the Asian culture, but in the audience, they are genuinely enjoying that. Taste of Asia, different foods. Food definitely speaks everybody's language. People who are adventurous, they would like to try new things. Maybe I'll try this from, like we enjoy pierogies at Polish festival, or, gyros at this Greek festival. Similarly, they come and enjoy the samosas or the biryanis or, at our festivals. So, yeah, I mean, they love momos and things like that. So they look forward to those. And I've been asked this question so many times. Which Indian restaurant do you recommend? Or when are you going to hold that event? I want to try that again. Can you please put that on the menu again? Yes. So yeah, these things would bring any community together. I mean, especially when we collaborate. And because of COVID, yes, these events have not been possible, but people have become very, very creative. So we did this online writing competition about Asian festivals. We asked we asked all the kids, not just the Asian kids, we asked all the kids to participate. And this was an open invitation for Greater Erie. And we asked them to, if you have attended any festival, or if you know about any, maybe your friend knows about it, or you want to learn about something, you have heard a word, like let's say maybe you heard the word Diwali, and what does it mean to you, or write your experiences. And we got an overwhelming response. I mean, kids really wrote such beautiful pieces. I mean, I was really touched by, especially coming from kids, they know so much. Yes, next generation is very, very aware of what they know and how they, I was really impressed by all that. But in normal times, we used to go to schools and organize these events. We would catch up with the parent executives, and then we will go to the schools and organize. We did with Asbury School or Bell Valley School, and then now during COVID, a high school teacher reached out to us. And honestly speaking, I wasn't sure how high school students, like 9th or 10th grade students, especially those teens, I have a teen at home, so I know, like, how would they react to this? Oh my God, I was so impressed. They wanted to learn more. Yeah, I know. So we, all of us did a Zoom, and we shared our journeys with them. What brought us here, what changes we saw in the culture, what cultural differences, like very common things they were intrigued about, like how's driving there. Like in India, it's on the right side, right? The left side. Don't you get confused? Didn't you find it difficult? Or your dances are so different, and your food is so different, or that's so hard, or I mean, and we shared our why we do certain things. Like some of our Muslim friends, they do fasting called Ramadan. This is the time of Ramadan going on for them. So they shared that, and they were like, "How can you fast and still work?" And and what is the reasoning? Because teens are very curious why you are doing something. So our members were able to share their own experiences with them, and it was so beautiful to see all those kids asking all those questions, which I was kind of amazed about. So we plan to do this with more and more schools now. There is a talk going of introducing diversity books at high school level. So we are reaching out to all the high schools now, especially after that experience. I felt like we need to do this more for sure.
Right. So we can't, at least if we can't get to the adults, we can at least get to the youth, right? Because
and they are tomorrow's leaders. So and tomorrow's citizens. So I mean, these are the people. This is the untapped resource, I feel. At TPAPA, we'll be very shortly. We'll be starting our youth wing. So because I personally am very strongly believe in the power of youth. I feel that's one untapped resource that can create wonders.
Yes.
If given the right direction, that's all we need to show them. What the right direction, and they can fly off. They can take their own wings, and
absolutely. That's interesting.
Ideas.
Yes, that's interesting. It's interesting that the conversations went to youth, because this morning I was talking with my wife about how I think that it's dumb that 16-year-olds can't vote. And I was like, listen, I think that if you have the ability to drive a vehicle, you should be able to go to the polls like anybody else, and really express your right and exercise your right. And I know everybody can be like, well, I don't know. I would say that it's something that we do need to shift and change, because I believe 16-year-olds are capable of being able to do that, and youth are capable of being able to vote. That's just how I feel. But I'm glad that the conversation goes to them, because you're right. I think they are definitely an untapped, not untapped, but I would say they're definitely a community that we definitely need to be uplifting in that way. So I thank you for that.
And they are also suffering.
Yes, that's true. So true.
They suffer through any kind of things going on around in the world. They are the ones who are affected the most.
Absolutely.
They have to face bullying in some form. They have to
and I think that's the importance of being intentional, thinking about it. And I guess that word again, intentional intersectionality. I think people forget that children and youth are affected by all the policies that we do have, because their parents are affected. So if your parents are affected, it does affect the child or affects the youth. And so I think that if we really looked at it like that, I hope that people can realize that if we start to look at some policies that need to be changed, that would be just spot on. But it takes people having to be intentional.
Baby steps. First of all, the administration needs to, at least recognize that, yes, this problem exists. Absolutely. If they are denying to even recognize it, then it is a problem. But thankfully, our administration is, they are listening. They are listening, and whatever we brought to their notice, yes, they listened. So I'm very thankful for that. And then next step is, once you identify a problem, then you see how can we solve it? What already do we have? And do we need to change something in the existing thing? I mean, Erie has other problems too, and I do not want to take resources away from one bigger problem that they are attending to. But if this problem cannot come at an expense of another problem, but then again, it cannot be ignored as well. So all the more important that we do other community outreach programs. Like when this acute stage happened, so we came up with a few things, like there could be neighborhood watch thing, or we could have meet and greet with the businesses. We could go out to the businesses in the community, Asian businesses. That was my main concern. Those businesses had reached out to me because they were feeling insecure. So we could do with the police, maybe we could involve the cops and then do a meet and greet, so that that level of trust is there, so that they feel like if something happens, yes, we can reach out to our community leaders. Or yeah, we shared this on our Facebook page, all the resources. If something is a victim, then what about the healing process? So we talk about those as well. So we have shared the resources about that as well. Any mental health issues, any depression that any person faces because of this, then please let us know and we can guide them for sure. And yeah, that's what we've been doing ever since. Yeah.
I like that you all reached out to the administration and are looking at the policy side of addressing this issue. But how can we as neighbors, removing the structure of power, but us as everyday people, make change and impact or help in any
So
way?
I'll give you a very small example. This did not happen in Erie, but it happened in California, in my friend's neighborhood. There was this Chinese family. They were attacked. Their stones were pelted at their windows, and the windows were broken. And obviously, they felt insecure. The neighbors started the neighborhood watch, and they would sit there every night. Somebody would take a turn and sit there. That is one neighborhood coming together. Friends standing for their friends. I mean, obviously, these were some outsiders. Clearly, I mean, if you are from that neighborhood, obviously you wouldn't do that to your neighbor. But yeah, something else I want to say, during this COVID also, so many people have come together for these meal trains. I mean, see the beauty in that. We did not see like, oh, that person is Chinese, oh, that person is black, oh, that person is from Russia. No, we did not do that. That family is suffering. Right now, they cannot go out and buy something. We need to provide them with food. Their kids might need food. Their wife is totally busy, or is admitted, or husband is admitted. Wife cannot cook. We need to
family,
be there.
but also to the community.
I myself have been a part of so many meal trains. I cannot tell you. These are small things that we can do for our neighbors, right? These are small, and we already do that. We already do that. But now my thing is, we have to reach beyond that, like changes in the curriculum. Yeah, that's where I would like to see the major impact to be. That's where I really want to see things happen. Administration, if they listen, and if they see if anything happens, yes, how they react. Is that person confident enough to confide in the police? Is that kept not made public? That complaint not made public? Many times, that's what scares them off. They don't want to complain if it is not kept confidential. So the confidentiality aspect is also very important. So all these, I need to be assured that the policy exists, that a person, if he sees, I have been preaching, if you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. But is that person confident enough to do that? I do not know. That the administration needs to reassure us. Yes, you can tell us. And yes, we'll maintain your secrecy. We will not reveal what does not need to be. So you will not be a target of another hate crime. So yes, each one of us has it in us to make the difference. We were raised, my parents raised me this way. Your day is not over till you have made a difference. So at every night at dinner table, we would have this discussions. What good did you do today? It was not about grades. Yes, we all got good grades and everything, but that helped us to come here. But no, it was not about that. It was, have you done something good today? Have you made a difference in your life, in somebody's life today or not? And that's what I pass on to my kids, and that's what their eyes are set on. Success, like my daughter always quotes Michelle Obama, and I'm going to quote her now. Success is not a measure of how much money you have, but how many lives you have made a difference in. Yeah, maybe not the exact words, but yeah, you get the
Close
gist.
enough.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, as a parent, we should tell that to our kids. If we are able to do that, in a friend group, we should share that having that discussion and not shirking away from these discussions itself says a lot. That itself brings solves half of the problem.
Yes.
So keep these discussions going on, and yes, I'm really happy to be a part of this discussion, really, because this gives me a chance to see what's going on and how I can contribute.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will use your platform to share something more with the audience. I've been receiving phone calls. When is our next event? So our event is coming up soon in the month of May. May is the Asian Heritage Month. So we are celebrating, John probably knows, we are collaborating with the Film Society of Northwest Pennsylvania. And we are going to be showcasing film at Waterford's Sunset Drive. Yeah. So we'll be doing it there. That's the safest way to do it. You can watch the movie from your car. So yeah, socially distanced and yet the safest way. And we'll see what food and other things. We are still working on the logistics of doing those things. I would love to see all of you there.
Oh,
on 25th May. I got recommendations for this movie from a lot of people.
Awesome. Yes. Well, you let us know when it's okay to share. I would love to put it in our description.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Where can people find this information for future? So if they're like, oh, I want to see when they post it, can they find you on Facebook?
Yes. So we have our Facebook page, Erie Asian Pacific American Association. We have our website. We update all the events that are upcoming events or something like that. Since last month, we started this. We are showcasing the Asians in Erie who have left a mark. So we are sharing their portfolios and their brief descriptions on our Facebook page. Last month was the Women History Month, right? So we shared, we thought of starting with a woman, of course. And then this month is we are celebrating Earth Day and all about environment. So we are bringing in an environmental scientist. So look out on our page. We always share festivals. Recently, we had New Year, which was celebrated not only in various parts of India, but it was in Thailand's New Year, it was Myanmar's New Year. So we were able to show include all those, and we made a small video about that. Our social media team did that, and it's just our way of sharing our culture in bits and bits with everyone. So yeah. And anyone who has seen, then I get a lot of questions about it later on, either through messages or through, So I love to answer all those questions. That means that just shows me that person wants to know more. So there is some learning there. So,
yes, I love it.
I feel this creates a better understanding. You get to see somebody's culture, you learn it, and that just creates a better understanding, more tolerance, more acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you don't feel, oh, this is something foreign to me. Right. You want to learn about that. You are keen to know more about that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I appreciate that. I love your energy. I love it. It's like so dope. Before we close out, one, I have to make a correction of something I said earlier. And then two, we have to ask you what makes Erie yours? But I'm going to first correct myself because earlier I said that intersectionality was a term coined by Farouk from One Hood. I think I said that. It's actually not. Which I knew that, but I just misspoke. It's actually termed by Kimberly Crenshaw. And Kimberly Crenshaw, yes, she's a professor. 1989, she wrote a paper, and that was in the paper. But when he said, he paid homage to that and then said, went on with intentional intersectionality. So I think that's important when we talk about learning and growing, that I need to correct myself in that. But as we move forward, I do want to know, and we all want to know, what makes Erie yours?
Oh, I have a small story to share with all of you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love sharing this story.
Yes.
So when my husband was studying, and when he was done and he had to take up his first job, we were thinking, okay, because of his studying, we traveled from Miami to New York I was working in Miami, from Miami to New York, New Jersey, and to Virginia. And then he was done with his studies in Virginia. And we were thinking, where should we go in US for our first job? Where should we settle? And the whole map was there. We need to fix a criteria. We can't just, pick a place just like that. He had offers from multiple places, West Coast, East Coast. And so are we biased towards this or that, we need to have some criteria. So then he asked me, I said, I do love 4 seasons. I cannot be in extreme temperatures. Like I do love 4 seasons. Okay, fine. Then but we need to narrow it down. He said, okay, fine. Okay, we have seen our share of snow in New Jersey and New York. Let's just go to a place where it snows a little less, just like we are in Virginia. So just where it snows less. And that's where we ended up, in the snow globe.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yeah. No, he interviewed at this hospital, St. Vincent Hospital. He loved it so much. I came here, so I toured the schools. There was something, we went to Presque-Isle. They held a little event for us. I mean, it all gave us a very, very positive vibes. Erie community is a very, very welcoming community. People here are so nice and warm and affectionate, I have to say. And I have found that that's been my personal experience. In the beginning of the show, I said, like, if anyone has a different experience, please, I feel sorry. But yeah, this is my own personal experience. I felt welcomed, and I cannot see myself anywhere else. Now this is the best place to raise your kids. I mean, Erie is just home to me now. Like, I cannot even think I'll travel all over, but this is home. Wow. At the end of the day, this is where I want to come to. It is it is smaller than all the places that we've lived in the past: Miami, New York, New Jersey, Virginia. So, but the diversity we see here and the harmony that we see here, that is amazing. How people love each other, how they attend each other's events. Otherwise, in bigger cities, I have seen, if there is an, let's say, an Indian event or a Pakistani event or a Bangladeshi event, they'll be within India also, they'll have, different states events, Marathi event going on, or North Indian or South Indian going on. They'll be very, very separate. In Erie, it's all united. So it's Asian, it's East, celebrate Erie. That's such a beautiful event, I feel, where all the musicians come together, all the artists come together, people from different walks of life. I love those events. Yes. Yeah. So that's what Erie means to me. I mean, it's my life now. Yes.
One of my favorite responses. Oh my gosh, you had me hooked. Oh.
I know. I know. I love. That's why I love that we ask that question, because it really gives us a different outlook and letting people like show us what it gives me, like, through your lens, tell me what it looks like, and it makes me have more gratitude and be like, okay, then I love it here, but let's work on the things that we need so we can be better and uplift that.
Every community needs work. You're very right, DaVona, there. Every community does need work. Ours does not maybe need that much work. I can assure you. I have lived my share in other places. So yes, we have it good here, but let's keep it that way. Yes. And also, if there's always room for improvement, and there is no perfect society. We do not live in a vacuum. And how boring would that be, if everyone were looking same and, boring. Dystopian society probably. But this is with all our different colors, all our different knowledge background, with all our different shades. These different shades of America. I love this.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and Erie just represents that unity in diversity. To me, that unity and diversity is what Erie stands for.
Ooh, okay.
I love
We'll
that.
leave with those words.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for joining us today. We are so
I loved
your spirit and your
I love you all.
Yes,
you have
we
been
love
such,
you.
yeah.
Hopefully when the world is back to normal and you have in-person events, we can invite you to come back and promote
Definitely,
your events.
definitely. I would love to be part of all the events, and I would invite you all to our events as well.
Yes. All right.
You've been listening to the Our Erie podcast.
Community voices unpacking Erie's baggage and speaking truth to power.
You can continue the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Our Erie Series.
Funding provided by United Way of Erie and Ember+Forge.
Music produced by Light Shadow.
We appreciate you for listening to the Our Erie podcast. Until next time, take care of yourself.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Peace.